Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video. For today, I want to start here on the south end. We want to talk briefly about the supercomputer cluster. Now, Elon Musk just gave us an update. He did a walkthrough of this south end of Giga-Texas, and he says that this is now called the Cortex, which is his name for the supercomputer cluster. Now, he said that there's going to be about 100,000 NVIDIA H100, H200 GPUs. Here's a great example of what those look like. And there will be massive storage for video training of both FSD and the Optimus robot. This is an example of what an NVIDIA H200 8 GPU Delta Next platform kind of a module would look like. And those will be assembled into the server room. As I move over to the west side and look in, this mezzanine is where that supercomputer cluster will be installed. And you can tell with the arrow where that is and how it is looking right now. The example gives you an idea of what an H200 server cluster rack system might look like. Here's another example of what the entire cluster in this mezzanine may appear like once it is completed. And I'll give you another example just to kind of fill in what we are seeing here on the drone shots to what will be assembled here very soon. Now we know that they are using a cooling system that uses a water or water glycol mix and some very large pipes and the cooling system on the southeast side. As I move over to the southeast side and look into that second floor, that wall on the left is the outside wall of that supercomputer cluster, that mezzanine that we saw. And here's another view of what is going on in the factory. So pretty interesting information. Now switching gears quickly, we're going to look at the baghouse filtration system on the east side of the casting machine structure. I had some viewers say that they weren't sure there was much progress being made, so I thought I would do this comparison. Here's a great view of what this area looked like at the 1st of July. And now here, 1 month later, the amount of work on this concrete apron, that new receiving door that was cut into the wall, all of the screw type piers, the forms, the rebar, the mud base, and the preparation for some pretty heavy equipment along that side of the wall. So hopefully this example of this area shows you how much progress has been made. Right next to that area is the baghouse plant itself. This is what it looked like on the 1st of July. The galvanized steel superstructure was essentially there. Some of the concrete work, the pads for equipment, some forms, and some rebar were visible on the 1st of July, 2024. So as we fast forward to the 2nd of August, this is what it looked like. I think there's some substantial progress that has been made. We see most of the concrete work is done, a lot of the mounts for equipment, the entire filtration system on the south side, plus some of the duct work that's being installed, the large tank, and additional equipment and work around the base. So I think this shows you within 30 days just how much progress has actually been made in this area. And finally, I did want to update you on an incident that occurred on the 1st of August. And with this image here from fellow drone pilot Brad Sloan, there's a lot of people milling around here, and I had questions about what was going on. Sadly, there was an issue that had a fatality on site. It was a heart attack of one of the contractors. So standard procedure is to stop work, get everybody gathered together, have them go home, and of course, as a standard procedure, the OSHA investigation has been kicked off, and that happens on any workplace when a fatality happens. So my heart goes out to the family of the individual and also all of the coworkers, and I just hope for the best, and I'm sorry to have to give you this report, but you may have heard about it in the news. So with that, let's get into the drone and let's take a look at Giga-Texas today. It's a beautiful morning to fly here at Giga-Texas. We're starting off on the far southeast corner, right above the Colorado River. Great view of the multi-level parking garage, and of course the south end of the factory where the extension has been added, and we'll get closer to that area here shortly. But I also wanted to give you a good view of River Road and how it is extending through the trees, all of the material staging and the areas where the glass company has set up shop, and of course this original pond, not quite natural because it's part of the sand and gravel mine, but this is one of the last of the original features left here at Giga-Texas. As we fly over the roof section of the parking garage, we can see that there are no cars parked on the top, but they are using several of the floors inside. It's a good look at the east side of the south end of the body in white and also the stamping machine section of the building, and some of the recycled trucks and other equipment that is stored here on this side of the factory. I'm going to maneuver around the power lines, bring the drone down and zoom in so you can get a good view into the east side of the extension. First, we can see the area with the 4 tanks. A lot of the, at least on the second floor, the interior walls that have been erected around this section, and how this is beginning to look. We also get a good view on the east side of the chilling plant, the 6 fan units, the open section on the exterior wall for the ventilation to go in and cool the water glycol mix that is used for the cooling, and of course on the ground, many of the electronic equipment items being installed. We also will see more pipes being installed on the west side as I continue to maneuver the drone around. And with the lighting, a good view into the east side here and the southeast corner of the extension. Also on the ground, much of the grade work has been compacted down and completed. We see a steel corrugated pipe sticking up out of the ground next to that white truck in the bottom center. And we also see this gathering of the workers and also some Tesla employees. I believe this is related to the heart attack victim from last week, and this is just getting everybody together, talking about that, and ensuring that safe operations resumes here after being down for a couple of days because of that event. And again, I'm very sorry to hear about that, and I hope everybody's doing okay, and the family of the heart attack victim is okay as well. But anyway, I will kind of fly along to the north here, give you some additional views of the roof section where we saw all of the work being done, and it looks like it is completed to seal the extension roof and the original exterior concrete wall, and how that is looking. This is also being replicated on the west side today as well. As I maneuver around the power lines, I'll bring the drone to the south. Again, a good view of that gathering that we talked about. Also a good view on the ground of how everything is taking shape. That one trench and trench box we see on the bottom left is for more of the stormwater pipe. As I round the southeast corner, I'll bring the drone down lower, passing the glass, and taking a look at the generators here in the bottom right. And also, it's a lot of progress on these tunnels. Now, I've had some viewers say that they don't agree with these being used as emergency exits. They think that it's more related to allowing a conduit or a pathway for water in case they have a water system that's part of the cooling system for the supercomputer issue. And that is possible. I don't have any permits that say for sure what these are. So for now, I will allow that to be yet another option, and we'll just talk about these tunnels again as far as their construction. And what we do see is the concrete walls here, the roof section being prepared with the rebar, more of the rebar cages and forms. And on this west tunnel, we see the wall forms being erected and set up for the rebar to be installed, and then we'll see a very similar structure to the one that was on that center area. There is rebar already being placed for some of the wall sections, so it's a great view of how this looks. Also, the graded area on this southwest corner, how it looks today. It looks like maybe there's some geotextile membrane rolls on the bottom right of the screen. That may indicate that we'll see additional raising of the grade here at some point, or maybe that'll be used to do the grade on the south end. Here's a good view into this open part of the southwest corner and some of the activity going on inside and the equipment. Also the food trucks on the bottom of the screen. And as I continue to around this part of the structure, I'm going to get a little of the sun flare just because of the position of the sun. So I'll try to use the building to block as much as I can. I do have to watch out for this black and yellow crane as it is operational this morning. But as I get a little lower and use the shade of the building, it's a great view into the extension, that mezzanine that we talked about in the intro, and how all of this continues to take shape. Also, the galvanized steel ducting that is being stored here amongst some of the interior walls and the trench work that is going on underneath this mezzanine level, which still is not open to a part of the factory, so I'm curious to see how that will work. The trench work here along this part of the site and under the road continues, and we're waiting for the Cybertrucks to emerge for production today, and that crane is in operation, so I'm going to maneuver back up over the roof section. I do want to show you not only a view over to the outbound lot and in the line facility, but I also wanted to show you the work here on this angled corner where they're doing a similar treatment to what we saw on the other side to tie the roof sections together. As I pull away, I wanted to also take a look at what was going on with the insulation panels over the supercomputer cluster. Besides the fact that they're rectangle and not hexagonal, it does look a little bit like a heat shield from a starship to me with this lighting. But this is how it looks today. There's still a section on the right-hand side of the screen that is waiting for the final insulation to be installed. But clearly this is a good progress that is going on for the roof right over that supercomputer cluster. I'm going to fly to the southwest corner next to the bridge. I wanted to see what the activity was here with this pit, where they're doing more of that steel corrugated pipe for the water management system. And it looks like hasn't been much change in the last week here with that pit and what they're doing with that pipe. So I'll continue to monitor this as time goes on. A good look across the highway to that west support facility and the west warehouse on wheels, and look back at the main factory. So we'll resume on the other side of the highway, and this is a good vantage point looking back to the main facility, and also the closer look at the west warehouse on wheels. As I follow River Road towards the west, I wanted to get a good view of this triangular lot that eventually will probably be paved. It'll be a parking lot, but now it's being used for material staging, some of the dirt piles and other materials, and that large section of steel items waiting for their turn for assembly. Also wanted to look across to the larger material staging yard where we see the blue and white items, which I think are for another stamping press, some of the workshops, the old glass, some superchargers, tanks for the baghouse facility, the spools of wire on the bottom left, some platform items, some other steel and pipe items as well. This rounded top workshop that has been doing fabrication of pipes. Some other items for the cooling system in that center left of the white and blue. More trailers, more of the wiring, and that one delivery box for Idra parts is still here waiting for movement, and a lot of other materials as well. The outbound lot is, I would say, about 25% full today. I think that the weekend was spent mostly moving the vehicles off-site, and you can tell that there's a lot less that were here on Friday, and then of course production is resuming here today. And we'll see how this changes over the next couple of days when I get back on Wednesday. As I pull back towards the south west or southeast, we'll take a look at what is remaining of the Boring Company site. And we can see where that spoils bin used to be and the belt cassette next to those blue trailers on the left. All of that has been removed, just some concrete panels, some additional items at the bottom of the screen. And as I maneuver closer to the actual tunnel itself, I'll get a zoom in. We can get a good view of what is going on. There is a change at the entrance. If you recall my previous video, I showed you that the roadway surface concrete sections were installed. It looks like a few of them have been removed and now doing some excavation at the exact entrance of the tunnel. And as I continue to maneuver around, not only to get a good view of how this site looks right now and what is remaining, I will continue to maneuver back towards the face of the tunnel and get a better view of what is going on. And what we're going to see is one of the crew member is got a shovel and they're doing some small excavation around this section. So it's perhaps either this is a problem that they're rectifying, or maybe they're getting ready for the next stage of construction. And people ask me, what will they put here? Although I'm not sure, usually there will be some sort of facing structure that is installed here to allow for it to be operational. But anyway, that's a good view of the Boring Company site today, and looking to the south where some of the concrete liners are still being stored. So let's fly along the end of line facility and take a look back towards the west at the outbound lot. Bringing the drone up to a higher altitude, looking to the north, we can see that material staging with the tents and some other materials that are staged on the west side of the highway. Now, as we cross over the highway, I'll bring the drone back down and we're going to fly along the west side, see what kind of activity is going on here today, also using the shadow of the building because of the sun. We do see some vehicles that are arranged next to that graffiti trailer for the Cybertruck. This is the exit point for the Model Ys. And it looks like there are a few on the inside getting ready to exit. They're stockpiling them here, waiting for the drivers to take them over to the east end of line facility for processing. As we fly up towards the north along the west side of General Assembly and approaching the 4680 battery cell portion, wanted to just get a quick look at this section with all the concrete removed. Not really any changes. And I did notice that there are two blue containers that do have a lot of the cans for the 4680s. I'll zoom in so you can get a better view, but all of this is being recycled. It looks like there's not only cans, but there's some additional material as well. These are not batteries, these are just the cans. So they're going to be going back up for the metal recycling off-site. So let's continue to fly up over the roof section, and let's reposition to the east side of the main factory. As we do so, it's a good view of some of the solar panels, the ducting and cooling enclosures on the upper left for the 4680s, all of these fan units with the filtrations enclosures, and some of the pipe work. All of this is over the casting machine structure, and this ducted fan and ventilation system was added because of the need for better ventilation through the casting machine structure. And that's also why we're seeing the bag house filtration plant being installed, as that will play another role in making sure that the volatiles, the gases and dust and other items that would be in the atmosphere are cleaned and make it a better environment for the workers. Here's a close-in view of the current situation of the baghouse plant. We did talk about its progress over the last month in the intro. This is a good view to see how much it has changed even since Friday. More equipment has been delivered on the ground. It looks like another tank, or at least some pipes next to the tank, have been delivered, and some additional work on the upper floors has taken place. This section is getting more of the rebar, getting close to the point where we may see some of the concrete poured, the door that was cut into the wall, and some additional work that is going on here. And I'll come back for a closer view in just a moment, but I did want to take a look at the entire east side of the factory. Not only can we see many of the castings being stored on the ground and in rack mounts, but we are seeing additional work here next to these receiving doors on the ground. And hopefully this is one of the last steps that they need to do with all the plumbing before they can finish up the concrete, put in the retaining walls on either side, and allow these receiving doors to be operational. As we take a look towards the secondary main entrance and across the turbo roundabout, the old testing and calibration lot has several Cybertrucks on the left. In addition to that, the wind tunnel is not being used today, although we did see a Model 3 on my previous video here. And of course, as we look back to the south here, we can see the multi-level parking garage and some more of these large brown pipes that are part of the cooling system for the south end, and also some steel corrugated pipes for the water management system that will be under the ground. So we know that there's going to be additional work with all of that on the south extension based with the materials. As we fly back over the multi-level parking garage and position to look back to the north along the east side, this is just a good overall view of what is going on here on this side of the factory. Also try and take advantage of the lighting because of the sun position at the point of time in the morning that I was flying. As I maneuver around the power lines and the tower, I wanted to give you a better look at the baghouse filtration plant. In addition to that, in the center of the screen along the parapet wall, we can see the kind of the racks where pipes and eventually a lot of wires for the south electrical system will be run. As I continue to maneuver the drone and taking a look straight down, the two pads on the center of the screen are for tanks, and we should see those installed soon. A great view of the filtration system with ductwork that is projecting over towards the mounts that will run along the top of the galvanized steel structure, and some more of the items that have been installed here on this part of the structure. As I reposition the drone, I'll bring it down to a lower altitude. It's a great close-in view of the formwork, the rebar, the new receiving door on the left, those heavy reinforced steel mounts on the left next to the exterior wall suggest that there may be some sort of heavy equipment that is installed there. And of course, more of the rebar here on the north end, where we've also seen some saw cutting in the concrete apron next to that white truck. More of the castings on the ground here on the northeast corner, and pipe work on the left that is being fabricated. I think that's related to what we'll see on the north end of the paint shop. On the bottom of the screen, we see large stringers for interior walls, those kind of metal studs. And then here at the north corner, we have this semi-temporary, not right, a permanent cover on those three doors on the left. A good view on the left-hand side of the screen. We see these kind of white cradle units, and we see that pipe work with the valves being assembled on the right-hand side of the screen. It's a good overall view of this part of the factory and how it continues to change. I'm going to pull away to the north across Tesla Road. I wanted to take a look at the work with the electrical conduit installation. Here we see two of those concrete vaults with the lids and manhole covers on the ground. Most of the trench work has been filled in with the dirt. It's a good overall view of how this site looks here at a lower altitude. And as I maneuver the drone back to the north, I wanted to give you a good view of this structure that is under construction. Looks like there's 4 large lids for the concrete vaults that you can tell on the bottom of the screen, the conduit inlets with those circles inside each of the vaults, and the formwork that continues to take shape here on this large slab. And there's 4 groupings of conduit risers on each of the corners. So that's a pretty good look at how this is continuing to make progress and overall view of this part of the site. I'm going to continue to maneuver back towards the north just to get a good view of the Megapack site and the electrical system on the north end and how it looks today. Plus, this gives you a good overall view of where all that conduit work is being done in relation to the Megapack and also the electrical switchyard, which is coming into view from the left. I don't see any changes or any preparation for work in that large open section right in the middle of the screen. At some point, there is another transformer that will be installed, but I don't know when that will be. As we fly closer to the ground, I wanted to get a good look at the wires that are being pulled through the conduit and also being arranged onto that fabric material. This gives a great idea of the effort that is involved with pulling the wires all the way through these very long conduits that go under the ground. So as I bring the drone up to a higher altitude, I wanted to fly off to the east. We'll get a look from a higher altitude at the Martin Marietta batch plant that's coming into view in the middle of the screen, and also the die shop and the battery cathode building. And this is just a great overall view so you can get a good idea where everything is located here on the Giga-Texas site and the current situation today. So that'll end the video for this flight. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I hope you have a great week coming up.